Now that I've issued the intent to lend letter, let's talk about interest rates. To start with, it's important to understand that like the stock market, buying airline tickets, or even putting gas in your car, interest rates fluctuate on a daily basis and sometimes multiple times a day. Now, why is this fluctuation? Well, events outside of our control, like news from the Federal Reserve, the monthly jobs report, or even war, can impact the rate market. Because of these market fluctuations and the cost for a lender to secure a lock for you, we need to know how long the lock needs to be for. That is why, with few exceptions, we can't actually lock you in until you are ratified on a sales contract. And to be ratified means that both you and the sellers have agreed to the terms of the contract, including our most important piece of the puzzle, the closing date. Now, why is the closing date so important? The reason is because it tells the loan officer how long the interest rate needs to be locked for. Interest rates are typically locked for 30, 45, or 60 days. Here's an example. Let's say you're now under contract on a home and the closing date is to take place in 27 days. That tells me as a loan officer that I can offer you a 30-day rate lock and still go to close before the interest rate lock would expire. If you were closing in 40 days, I would need to do a 45-day rate lock. Now, you're probably gathering from this information that comparing interest rates before being under contract doesn't actually help you make an informed decision on which loan officer to choose, but it does allow you to see which loan officer is upfront and honest with you about the process, rather than telling you some artificially low rate, hoping you pick them because of it. Now that you understand the reason why we can't lock you in until you are ratified on a sales contract, I can give you a great resource to keep an eye on rates. To do this, I recommend checking mortgagenewsdaily.com. This site provides a daily tracker of the national average on interest rates, and I check it on a daily basis as well. The great news about working with me is I find my rate options, once we can lock you in, again, when you are ratified on a sales contract, are typically much better than what is shown on the tracker. Now let's flash forward in the process and assume you are now ratified and under contract. At this point, I now get to work and will provide you 3 rate options and the closing costs for each option so we can lock you in. Now, why 3 options? Well, I don't know about you, but when I make a decision, I like to have options, and I have found my clients do as well. These options will include the lowest rate I can get you and still be within loan tolerance, a middle ground option with a low rate and reduced closing costs, and finally, an option for a slightly higher rate but with less closing costs and even potentially lender credit, which is money from the lender that can go towards your closing costs. Once I've sent over the options, they will be nicely laid out in an easy to understand worksheet for you to compare and come to a decision you feel comfortable with. Hopefully this video has helped answer some of your questions on rates, and if you haven't yet already, please take a moment to watch my video on closing costs as well. Any questions, please give me a call.